then citizens and people should be part of it. And that's just what will be demonstrated on Tuesday, where young people and citizens alike will march to the National Assembly to be part of this process and to engage our lawmakers who are our representatives and tell them this is what we want, and let them vote according to their conscience and in line with our wills and aspirations.
I'll come back to you, Samson, but now, Choma, I wanted to ask about the Tuesday march and all of that. But before that, what's been the biggest obstacles you've faced, you know, with this movement, which is basically what it is? Because I mean, politicians are set in their ways, and anything that's going to obstruct or, you know, rock the boats is not necessarily welcome. So what's been the biggest obstacles you've faced?
I think it's just, first of all, the biggest obstacle has been young people themselves. And in a way, it's very understandable. We've come from a point where we've been so disappointed. You know, it's like you've been battered so much, you don't have too many expectations. You don't want to be disappointed all over again. And so you just believe that these people are not going to pass this thing. I don't want to hope and then let that hope, you know, be deferred. So young people have had to come to a place where they now believe we actually deserve this thing. As a matter of fact, we don't deserve it. It's a right. You know, we can't be the largest demographic. Africa is the youngest, you know, is the youngest continent. Nigeria, there's about, you know, over 70% of Nigerians are within the 16 to 35 age bracket. We can't be this many and not have a say in how we are governed. And so we're slowly coming to that realization that we the people, you know, like Samson said, should actually be we the people, not a few people deciding for we the people.
So I say young people don't think young people can do it. Is that what you're saying?
I think that it's not that they don't believe that they can do it, because to be honest, across the length and breadth of this country, young people are leading and championing innovation in the face of the several things, you know, the leadership of this country has thrown at us. So is the capacity there? Yes. Is the capability there? Yes. But it's the mindset that they won't give it to us anyway. So it's not that they don't believe.
So why bother?
Exactly. It's the same way there's a lot of, you know, and I heard you talking about apathy, people going out to vote. They just believe whether we vote or not, this isn't going to happen. So why bother? Why go out? In the same way, young people have had to do like a 360 turnaround, coming from, if we advocate for this thing, if we push for it, it's not going to happen, so why bother? But they're slowly coming to the point. I mean, last week was brilliant. We wrote, you know, to the National Assembly, we used the media, we used our numbers, and then they responded. And so young people are saying, oh, they're answering them. They're answering us. And that's very critical for this movement, because we need to show our representatives that you truly should be our representatives. You are there on our behalf. And so you should listen to us and you should do what we want, because, you know, we put you guys there. So young people are slowly turning around from that place of disbelief to a, this is our right, this is what it should be, and this is what we're going to do.
Very interesting. Let me come to you now, Olumide. He talked about Tuesday there, Samson, talking about, you know, what's going to be happening on Tuesday. How's that supposed to work now? You know, Nigerians hear protest or a march and they're like, this one passed my power. You know, actually, how's that supposed to work?
It's not a violent protest.
Okay.
It's just what we call legislative engagement. As Samson rightly said, we need to be part of the process. And what we're saying is that, okay, this bill is still in play. So we're going to the National Assembly as a convergence of youths and citizens from different sectors. We're marching to the National Assembly to make them understand the need for them to, you know, vote this bill, because we need two-thirds majority in the House of Reps and Senate at the same time. So we're just going there not to fight, not to do anything, just to make them understand the need for them to vote the bill when it is mentioned on the floor of the House. Yeah. And also, there's nothing violent about it. And this is the area, one area, as Shoma rightly said, that the youth are united about. From the far east in Borno State, to the creeks in Bayelsa, to the metropolis in Lagos. This is one area we're all united about. This is something that we need. And it's also part of the best practices, international best practices all over the world. Yeah. Also part of our International Human Rights Convention, for us to be part of the process. Part of talking about justice, equity, that's what democracy is all about. So we're just asking them, this is all we need.
Emphasis on peaceful.
As a matter of fact, it's actually a solidarity march.
Exactly.
So it's like, we've been careful to call it a national day of action. It's not a protest, it's not a sit-out, it's not any of those things. We're literally saying, we know you guys have our interests at heart. Let us stand with you as you have our interests.
Exactly.
And if you don't really have our interests at heart, we want to stand with you so that you start to have our interests at heart. So it's more, you know, it's more unifying that it might be, you know, troublesome or anything like that.
You mentioned independent candidates candidacy there now,
Yeah.
and a lot of people have been very wary about that for many reasons, because we tend to go overboard with things in Nigeria. I mean, we register parties. I don't know how many we have today. You know, so how is that going to be a solution? How do you think that's going to work out eventually when we have 6 million candidates running for one, and all the confusion, which is one of the reasons why people are against it?
One of my favorite, so I have a background in communication. One of my favorite things about communication are theories. And there's a theory I always lean on, literally, because it can be applied to anything, and it's called the social responsibility theory. And it simply says a society will self-correct. So if we have 6 million people running for president in a country of 180 million, society by itself will sieve out, the chaff and leave the substance, and then people will vote for that. I think that Nigeria is ripe for independent candidacy, because the truth is sometimes you look at the ideology of political parties, and where you can't tell which country's ideology they copied and pasted from, you can just tell from the people within that party that these people have this thing only on paper. They're not going to stand by it. And so people have bright ideas, people have brilliant ideas, people have different things they want to achieve, and independent candidacy allows them the opportunity to do that. A bigger thing, however, is the reform on election spend, because the truth is, if this bill is passed, and election forms are however much they cost, people spend X and X amount when they're running for a simple office. Sometimes you hear that to aspire to a particular office you need sometimes up to 500 million naira. That again is some form of exclusion. But if, and all of these things, if you think about it, they open the windows to corruption, etc., people trying to make back their money when they get into office and all of those things. But if we have a cap on election spend, if we have a cap on how much people can receive as donations when they're vying for offices, etc., then you start to have some sanity within the system. And these are the kinds of things that the bill, is seeking to achieve.
There's a lot of work to be done, I can definitely see. But we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll go, of course, back to Samson in Abuja. And to find out, like I talked about independent candidacy, if young people run, is that going to fix things, really? But we're going to go on a break. When we come back, we'll find out the answer to that. Please stay with us.